Hello everyone. My name is Kamlesh Patil and I would like to welcome you all to Android Study Jam session. This is the second session of Android Study Jam series where we will be going through what is in it for you, how to and when to, what goals you need to set, how to achieve those milestones. I'm looking forward to have an amazing and yet interactive session with you all. Hoping you all would enjoy the session. With that being said, let us dive in. So, as the title suggests, what is in it for you? Why should you choose to participate in this study jam? Every one of you might have different answers to this question, correct? Most of the common answers might be to learn how to develop apps, to acquire new skills, to earn badges, to earn certificates, to get featured in Google's official posts and blogs, correct? So let us see, why should you choose to participate in this study jam? The first thing would be to learn how to develop Android apps. Many of you might have been wanting to learn this for a while, but couldn't. So now here is your chance to get started on the journey along with your friends from community. Then the another point would be to acquire a new skill. App development is a skill that never gets old. Along with the app development, you will also be learning problem solving skills, which is essential in almost every domain. Then the third point would be to earn certificates for Android app development in Kotlin. These certificates will resemble that you have learned and understood Android application development in Kotlin language. In order to achieve this milestone, you must complete second track, that is prior programming experience track. Not necessarily you have to complete the first track, but it is highly recommended that you complete the first track because it is a stepping stone in order to understand Android app development and Kotlin basics. Then at the end of every activity or pathway, you will be earning these badges. To earn these badges on your developer profile, Google Developer Profile is a beta program by Google for developers to flaunt and showcase their skills and learnings. During this study jam, you will be earning 15 plus different cool badges on your developer profile. The badges that the badges you earn can be saved on your developer profile. When you are taking the course, be sure to sign in and create a developer profile if you haven't already. It is very quick and easy to create. As you earn more and more badges, you can see them on your developer profile and favorite them as shown here. To get featured in Google developers official Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and another social media pages and blogs. To get featured in these posts and blogs, you will have to complete the second track and submit a simple yet creative app that you have created during this study jam. So those are the points that you might be interested in why you should be choosing to participate in this Android study jams. With that being said, before we get started, I would like us to get a recap from the last time. What did we learn in the previous session? Let us start off by recapping what we did the last time. Can you remember what we did in the first session? What we understood in the first session? There were many topics that we undertook. The first one was how to write and run a program in Kotlin Playground, how to set up Android Studio on their computer, how to start a project from template in Android Studio, how to run an Android app on the emulator or a physical device if applicable, add text and images to a layout, modify attributes on a text view or image view. These were one of the many points that we have undertook in the previous session. Before we get started, I would like us to recap what we exactly did. What are Android study jams? Android study jams are nothing but community organized study groups for people to learn how to build an Android apps using the online training course. In much simpler words, it is nothing but a online course for those who are interested in learning Android app development on self-paced, self-absorbed level. In this course, you can easily and with the proper instructions, you can understand how to create Android apps in the Kotlin language. This study jam was created by Google developers itself. So it is nothing but accurate. So that we can get started. So before we start, I would like you to know there are two tracks. The first one is new to programming, and another one is prior programming experience. I did explain both of this thoroughly. So this time I will be just browsing on the surface. So the first track is nothing but new to programming tag. As the name suggests, this track is for the people who do not have prior experience, who do not know what is Android, who do not know what is programming language, who do not know concepts of programming. So these people can pursue this track. The prerequisites for this track are nothing but basic computer literacy and basic math skills. In the previous session, we undertook the first three pathways from the first track. Nonetheless, there were recommended time were 1 hour, 2 hour, or 1.5 hour each. We earned first three badges, and for today's session, we are aiming to complete the first track itself. Similarly, as you can see in the second unit of first track, there are two pathways. All six of these pathways have unique badges that you can earn on showcase on your developer profiles. With that being said, there is another track, the one named prior programming experience track. So the prerequisites for this track are prior programming experiences in any object-oriented programming languages. Those object-oriented programming languages could be Java, Python, C, C++, Kotlin, or any another one. Then the participant must be familiar with how to use an IDE. Then he or she should be familiar with how to use GitHub, how to create the pull request, push request, and how to use the GitHub basically. So in this track, totally there are 11 pathways. The first one is optional. As you can see, the first one is pre-work. Pre-work means for those people who may have experience of object-oriented programming languages other than Kotlin. But if you know Kotlin and you have a basic understanding of Android app development, so you can skip the first Kotlin Koans and just jump right ahead to the first pathway, which is building your first app. As you can see, there are unique badges such as 1, 2, 3, 4 in different units. Similarly goes until 10th, 10th pathway. So the learning objectives that we have earlier completed in the previous session. In previous session, we completed and built our first Android app. We set up the Android Studio on our computers, learned the basics of Kotlin programming language, and discovered resources to continue learning. If you couldn't attend the previous session, you can find the link to the previous session's recording in the chat description, or you can just perform these actions through code lab sessions. There are proper instructions and manuals on the code labs. So let us talk about what you will learn as a part of new programming track Android study jams. First and foremost, the goal that was for you was to build your first Android apps. To do this, you had already installed the Android Studio on your computer, which is an application to build Android apps. Along the way, you also exposed to the programming concepts and the Kotlin language via playing through Kotlin Playground. At the end, we also had talked about resources on how you can continue learning and building apps beyond this event as well. Then, as you can remember, this was the landing page to the Kotlin course. This was the Android basics in Kotlin course. And then there was the first unit in the first track. And we had already completed the first three pathways, which were introduction to Kotlin, create your first app, and build a basic layout. But today in the second session, we will be focusing on completing the fourth pathway, which is a little longer. Since if many of you might not have attended previous session, so you may be wondering what is a pathway. It is an ordered sequence of activities to learn a specific skill. An activity can be a video, hands-on coding tutorial known as code lab, an article, or a quiz. You can see at least 4 or more activities in a first pathway. All these activities are meant to help you reach the specific learning objectives by the end of this pathway. Take a quiz. As you can see, at the end of each pathway, you can find a quiz. The, the purpose of these quizzes are to check the understanding of what you have just learned. Here is an example. Here is a sample quiz looks like. There are no limits to the number of retries for a quiz. But if you get a question wrong, try to understand what the concept is, even if you need to look back at the original source materials before answering again. As you can see, there are no particular limits to the quiz attempts. You can attempt the quiz as many times as you want. You can fail it as many times as you want. But the passing criteria is around like 4 out of 6 questions should be correct, which is pretty easy. After you pass the quiz, you earn badge just like this one. Then there is developer profile. The badges you earn can be saved on the developer profile. When you are taking this course, be sure to sign in the top right corner to and create a developer profile if you haven't already. It is very easy to create. As you earn more and more badges, you can see them on your developer profile and favorite them as shown in here. There are many skills, many badges which are very exclusive. If you earn those, you can just favorite them on the top of your profile for your friends and other fellow developers to see. Now moving further, what are the concept overviews? Now that you have been familiar with the learning platform and how the course looks, we had deep dive into the important concepts of the learning points. The first pathway in this course, we learned how to code in Kotlin. Kotlin is a programming language that you will use to build Android apps. Kotlin is a modern and popular programming language known for helping developers be more and more productive. Kotlin allows you to be write more concise. Kotlin allows you to be more concise when writing your code, and you can write safer code that is less prone to errors. As a result of many great language features, Kotlin has quickly gained momentum in the industry. It is reportedly one of the fastest growing programming language according to the GitHub and ranked as number 4 most loved programming language among the developers according to 2020 Stack Overflow developer survey. In the first pathway of the course, we focused on helping us understand basics of Kotlin. In the first pathway, to make us easier to understand, we used a playground called Kotlin Playground, which was a web browser tool, web-based tool. This is how the site looks like. You can just write your code as easy as that and hit the run button simply with a single click, and you can easily check out the what output was. You can make changes into the code, and within a fraction of second, you can get the output. In the second pathway, where we created our first app, we also downloaded and installed Android Studio on our computers. This is the official tool for professional developers used to develop Android apps. This is where you will be working your Kotlin code and building your apps. Then there was Android emulator. In Android Studio, you can also use the Android emulator, which can emulate various Android devices on your computer. The emulator allows you to run your app and provides almost all the capabilities that a real Android device could have. If you do have a physical device and want to use it, there are instructions in pathway 2 to get you started. User interface. Lastly, in the third pathway, we understood the basic concepts of customizing the user interface of a simple app. The user interface, also commonly known as UI of an app, includes what the app looks like and how the user interacts with it. Just a moment. Layouts. The layout of an app is a design or arrangement of what the user sees on the screen. In Android, a layout is made up of views. As you might have understood by now, a layout is nothing but a screen that is visible on your app. It might be in another arrangement on your cell phone and in different arrangement on your tablet. So those are the changes based upon layout. and the screen sizes. Then in the third, and then along with in the third pathway, we also understood the layout, the views. The views are nothing but text view, image view, button view. Here are some examples of views that are provided by Android. Text view is for displaying text on your app. Image view is for displaying images on your app, and same goes for button. In button has particular tasks, actions when they are clicked. Correct. In case if you miss the previous session, I would highly recommend you to visit this link g.co/android/studygems. Open this course page with the link we provided you, and you will automatically be awarded this badge for attending this Android study champs. Save it to your developer profile and create a profile if you haven't already. Now that we are done with the recap, I would like us to get started with the second session. The second session was nothing but Android Study Jams New to Programming Track Session 2. Now that we have finished the recapping last session, we will be completing the session 2 of New to Programming Track. As a reminder, this track is for people with no prior experience to learn how to build and basic Android apps in Kotlin. The prerequisite knowledge is that you have completed session 1 of the beginner track with us or on your own. You could have had completed the first three pathways of Unit 1 from the Android Basics in Kotlin course. We will be picking up from there. If you haven't, you can just go back and complete the previous three pathways and then continue from here. There are no time constraints. You can perform these labs or pathways at any time at your convenience, and those are self-paced. You can take literally 30 minutes or 3 hours, up to you. You will also need a computer, headphones, and access to the internet to take the course. It will also be helpful if you have an Android device along with the USB cable. If not, you can still use the emulator on your computer. Just a moment, somebody texted. Is there any issue with screen? Akash, can you confirm whether there are any issues in the screen sharing? Okay, thanks guys. So moving further, Ramesh, I believe there are some issues at your end. Okay, so moving further, Unit 1, Pathway 4 of Track 1. In this session, we will complete Unit 1 of the Android Basics in the Kotlin course by finishing the fourth pathway. The name of fourth pathway is adding a button to your app. In this pathway, we will be building an interactive app called the Dice Roller app. It rolls a dice when the button is pressed and updates the screen with the result. So as you can see, the feature or the function of this app would be just pressing a single button, and as output there will be a dice which will be rolled every time, and it will give us random output every single click. Before we get started, let us understand the high level concepts that we will be studying. Activity. Activity is an activity provides the window in which the app draws its UI. In a simpler way, to build this app, you will need to understand what an activity in Android is. An activity is the part of your app that presents a window that can display the app's content on the screen. In the Dice Roller app, we will be building the in the Dice Roller app that we will be building, there is only one activity called the main activity. Make a note, guys. Each and every app must have the main activity. Main activity is the only activity that gets launched whenever the app is opened. So for now, for this project, for this pathway, we will be creating only on one activity, which is main activity, which is necessary. When you open up the app, the main activity launches. The layout is drawn on the app, and the user can start interacting with the app. You will be modifying the main activity by adding the Kotlin code for what should happen when the user taps on the button in the application. As you can see on the screen, there are only on two elements. First one is there is a dice, and the second one is the button. So the feature would be, as you can see, the screen visible is nothing but activity. The name of activity is main activity. And the feature of this app would be every time we click on the button named roll, the dice needs to roll. And whenever the dice rolls, there will be a different output every single time, which will be random. So these are the features, these are the activities. So moving further, as you uh, as you write the Kotlin code for your app, you will need to understand what classes and objects are. As you can see on the screen, class and object instances. You can think of class like a blueprint. It contains instruction on how to create something. As the name suggests, blueprint means proper instructions or manuals for creating anything. From the dice blueprint, you can create an actual dice. So as you can see here, the example could be, we are trying to create a dice. To create that dice, the output should be different every single time. The output could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the instructions to create the dice, which are draw circle, point numbers, point dots, these are the instructions. These instructions would be similar for each and every dice, correct? So you do not need to write these instructions each and every time individually. You can just create a class. Class is nothing but a blueprint. So for creating multiple dices, you will have to just create object of those instances. More specifically, the class contains details like the properties a dice has. For example, number of sides and how it behaves. For example, it can be rolled, it can be thrown, it can be pressed, it can be shown. Correct. The great advantage of having the dice class is now you can create as many dice objects as you want. There are no limits. As you can see on the screen, one, two, three, or as many as you want. It saves time from having to write all the same code over and over again and again. This makes your code more organized and easier to maintain. You could also use this analogy, a blueprint of house. For example, if you create a blueprint for a house, every time that you are building a new house, you do not have to create new instructions. You can just refer previous instructions. Similarly, whenever you are solving a maths problem, you do not need to create a new formula on your own. You just use the previous steps, previous formulas, previous theorems from the mathematicians, correct? So let us getting started. Okay, that's it. In a moment, we will be getting started on the course. We will be working at our own pace. If you get stuck, you can ask me or any another presenters available in the meeting. We are here to answer whatever questions if you have. For example, if you need help installing the Android Studio or getting your app to run on your Android device, also feel free to ask one another to help and work together to find the solutions. Because the motto of our community is from community to community with love, which means all of us members of this community are working together and rising together above. So we will be starting on the fourth pathway of first unit. Just a moment, guys. Okay, so here is the landing page of where we will be undergoing Android basics in Kotlin. Here is the course developed by the actual developers of Android by Google. As you can see, here are total the first track is new to programming track. In this track, there are two units. In the previous session, we have and we have completed these three pathways. And now to complete our first unit, we are aiming to complete the fourth pathway, which is nothing but dice roller app. Before we get started, guys, if any of you have any queries or doubts, feel free to raise your hand or just ask the question in the chat box. I hope it is available to each and every one of you. So now that we are here on the fourth pathway, of first unit of first track, that is nothing but creating a dice roller app. Now, as you can see, I haven't yet signed in into the course, which is why my progress will not be saved. So I would like to highly recommend each and every one of you to sign in here. I haven't signed in because my progress is already 100%, so you can't understand. So here is the first lab, classes and objects instances in Kotlin. Create a Kotlin program that generates random numbers to simulate the rolling dice. We just have to click on the take code lab, and the code lab begins. So here are few instructions or manuals before you get started. What are classes, object instances in Kotlin? As you can read here, this code lab is written by Google developers training team, and it was recently updated on 11th August 2020. Before we begin, for the code labs in this pathway, we will be building a dice roller app on Android. When the user presses the button, rolls the dice, a random result will be generated. The result takes into the account number of sides of dice. For example, only the values from 1 to 6 can be rolled from a six-sided dice. This is what your final app should look like. In order to create this app, we will have to complete all these 10 activities by ourselves. So here are a few prerequisites, then how to create the program, then how to store the variables. Here are objectives that we will be understanding, what we are building, what do we need. Here are some instructions. I would highly recommend for you all to go through that. Then roll a random number. Here is given the theory on how you can set up the starter code. So first of all, we are creating a range, value range, 1 to 6, 1 dot dot 6. It is nothing but it is a range. It is a range between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A range could be between any number. It could be between 1 to 6, 100 to 200, 2 to 5, 1 to 100, or anything similarly. So here we will be here we are creating a function. First of all, there is a value which is nothing but a variable. In that random number variable, we are storing dice range dot random. Random is a function which generates a random output. For to generate a random output, we need to provide the dice range. Here we are using a variable dice range dot name random function name. But earlier we have defined this variable as value dice range from 1 to 6, which means for this random function, we are providing a range of 1 to 6. And out of those 1 to 6, any random number would be generated and saved into this value, which is nothing but variable. Moving further, we also need to print the number. For printing that number, we are using println. Println is nothing but print line statement. And within that function, we are using the double quotes. Double quotes are nothing but to explain that whatever we are providing in between those double quotes is nothing but string. But as you can see, we are also providing a variable. To define that variable, we are using to instantiate that variable, we are using a dollar sign and then curly braces. Those curly braces tell the compiler that anything between these braces are is nothing but a variable. That variable should be read, not just printed. So at the end of this first activity, here is how your code would look like. First of all, as a main function, as I said earlier, main function is must. Each and every function must have a main function. Each and every program must have a main function. And within that, we are first of all declaring a first variable. Within that variable, we declared a range from 1 to 6. Then we are declaring another variable, that is random number. Random number is a variable which will store any random number. Then, but what that random number should be? A random number could be garbage value. It could be in millions, it could be in minus or anything. But we need a specific random number from 1 to 6, which is why we are providing the range dot random, which means the random function would be applied on this range. And whatever the random number that has been chosen, it could be 1, 4, 3, 2, 5, or anything. That random number would be stored within the variable named random number, and then we will be printing that in the fourth statement, which is print ln. Now every time you execute this code, the output generated will be different. It could be anything between 1 to 6. Now that we need to create a dice, but there are total 6 sides of dices, correct? So we shouldn't have to create we shouldn't have to write the instructions, we shouldn't have to write the program 6 different times, which is why we are using the dice class. Dice class is nothing but a blueprint. Blueprint is proper instructions to create any instance of an object. Here we use the keyword named class and then class name. So here is how we define the class. Now that we have created a first class named dice, within that we are declaring that there are total 6 sides in a single variable. So while creating the first dice, there can be many dices, right? The first dice, second dice, third dice. So similarly, we can just create a single dice class which will define each and every different dices. So here is how the code looks like. Function name main, then opening parenthesis, value first dice is equal to dice. So what this code is nothing but we are creating the object of a class. My first dice is the object of the dice class. Then we can just print my first dice dot sides. So it will show how many sides a class has. Obviously, since we have previously declared that there are total 6 sides in a class of a dice, so it will obviously show the output would be 6. Similarly, you can just go through all these instructions. Those are extremely self-explanatory, and you can understand how and when we are using a particular keyword, why are we using this particular function, and everything. In case if you face any difficulties, if you get stuck, feel free to ask in the chat section or reach out to any presenter in this meeting available right now. Here, see, as you can see, this whole is nothing but a Kotlin function. The purpose of this Kotlin function, the purpose of this Kotlin program, this Kotlin code is to add features to functionalities to our Android app. This is why we need to write Kotlin code. Comparatively, if we can, we also can use Java code. But Java is also an object-oriented programming language, but it is quite lengthy and not much readable. Kotlin, as compared to Java, Kotlin is more readable, less prone to the errors. It is more cleaner, as you can see, cleaner code. You can customize your dice, then adopt good coding practices. So many of you might have attended a session by my co-host Shreyas Patil. he had conducted a session on clean coding practices. Clean coding practices are nothing but using the proper indentation, placing the proper data types, then using the proper white spaces. This is called clean programming. Having a proper uh, variable name. Choosing a variable name is also a huge task. It can be hectic if it can get chaotic if you use meaningless variable names. So I would recommend you to watch and attend that session from Shreyas Patil on clean coding session. Then this is the final solution, the final code for your dice roller app. So this app will do nothing but whenever click, it will provide a random number throughout 1 to 6. But as you can see, in the second, we are adding up features. There can be multiple aged dices as well. So it can have 20 sides on a single dice as well. So you can have as many numbers as you want. This is the game of probability. Now summing up, to call the random function on a int range to generate a random number from 1 to 6. This is how we are creating a range of multiple numbers. The syntax is creating the initial number, writing the initial number, then two dots, that is 2 points, and then a ending number. As you can see here, 1 dot dot 6. It creates a range of 1 to 6. Now that we have summarized all the activities, here are learning resources if you want to study further in this thorough side. Then you can also practice on our own. As you can see, I have just completed my first code lab, and immediately I have earned this badge. I can just claim this badge and create my own profile. Since now I already have this badge, I don't need to create a new profile and claim this. Done. Similarly, there are minimum 4 to 5 activities. The first activity that we just completed. Now we have to create a interactive roller app, then add a additional behavior, conditional behavior, add images to the dice roller app. So these features are nothing but creating animation. Whenever clicked, it should roll for a few seconds. Whenever clicked, it should provide accurate output along with the accurate image. It shouldn't be like the image is showing number 3 and the text is showing number 4. That should be the conditional behavior. If the random number is 3, then output should be also be 3. And then there is a quiz. When we complete all these tasks, we can pass this this quiz is nothing but to understand and check how much you have understood throughout this pathway. You can choose as many answers as you want, then write an answer that is more relevant. So these are the way you can complete the this is the way you can complete your quizzes. Right now, just to show you, I'm just submitting random answers. See, none of them were correct. I can always try again. There are no limits that I shouldn't or I couldn't attempt the second time. You can attempt this quiz as many times as you want, but I would highly recommend that you go out and return to the pathway and check the source material for the once again and understand the basic concepts that you might have not understood. Or else you can just reach out to the community platform and ask another what should be the answer, why I couldn't get it right. Correct. And here is written that out of 9, at least 7 questions should be correct in order to pass this pathway. Now that you have seen how to perform all these tasks, we are going back to our session. You can perform this task or activities or pathways in your free time anytime, anywhere, from however you want. There are no time constraints, and there are no registration constraints that you need to register before a particular time. All you have to do is complete the second track before 15th December. Sorry, 15th January of 2021. There are more than almost 1.5 months just to complete two tracks, which is more than enough for anybody. You can suggest all your friends and family. There are no age constraints. There are no constraints for particular domain. Anyone from like medical to commerce, anyone can participate in this study jam. This is a skill that anyone can learn. Now that we are going back to session, when you complete the quiz, you receive a badge just like this one. These badges are unique, creative, and cool. So you can showcase your talents, your skills, or your learnings on your platform with all your friends and fellow developers. If you get stuck on any level at this pathway, feel free to ask everyone or anyone from this session. Uh, Before we get started to another segment, I would like to tell you all that you have a time until next Saturday. We are conducting our next session on next Saturday. So complete first track before next Saturday. On next Saturday, we are proceeding further with the second track, that is Kotlin experience, prior experience track. In next session, we are conducting Kotlin Koans. So please, each and every one of you, complete the first track by next Saturday, which is more than enough time for anyone to complete. Okay, so let us move further in the next segment, that is FAQs. FAQs is nothing but frequently asked questions. Frequently asked questions by the members or community participants. The first question is how to install Android Studio. I'm unable to set up the just a moment. I'm unable to set up the studio. Do I need to do anything else? There is a particular code lab in which you will find all the necessary instructions, manuals, screenshots, and comments on how to install the software irrespective of your operating system that you use. You can just visit this code labs. I would share this link. I have already shared this link in the chat section. I would share this again if you want. Then the second question is, my progress bar is not updating even after I complete the code lab. What should I do? Since I have already told you, the whole program, the whole study jam, the whole session is in a beta program. Since it is in a beta testing, there are a few bugs, and I have already informed them to the concerned parties. While you are navigated to your code lab from the page which the tracks you progress, sometimes you get signed out. If you face this issue, try signing in again and complete all the steps. And even in some scenarios, I have seen people are getting badges but not completing the pathways. If you have already earned the if you have already earned the badge, you do not need to worry about not completing the 100%. All you need to care about is having the badges on your developer profile and also understanding the concepts as well. Then the third question is there any time limit for each pathway or unit or activity? So the answer is no. There are no time constraints for you to perform any activity or pathway or unit. You can perform the activity or pathway as many times as you want. There are no time constraints. So you can perform an activity for 30 minutes or 3 hours. It's up to you. You can perform them anytime at 24 by 7. There are unlimited amount of attempts that you can take in order to complete the quiz, in order to complete the activity or pathway. The only constraint is for you to complete the second track before January 15th 2021, which is very ample time for anyone to complete both tracks. Then the next question is, how can I earn certificate for Android app development in Kotlin? The only constraint for you is to complete the second track before 15th Jan 2021, which is very ample time for anyone to complete the board tracks. Note that certificate is only on applicable if you complete the second track. For the first track, there are no certificates as guided by the Google itself. We have strict guidelines to provide certificate to only on those who have completed the second track. Fifth question: how can I get my app published slash featured by Google Developers India? You will have to develop and submit any simple yet creative application that you have developed during the study jam before 15 Jan 2021. This is very ample time. And out of all the submitted apps, throughout all the participants, one or many amazing apps will be passed further toward Google Developers India, which the Google will publish on all their social media such as Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and all others. Then another question asked by one of our community members is, what is Android PWA? This was really an amazing question. I would like to answer. Progressive web app. Progressive web apps are web applications that use app-like features to create high-quality experiences that are fast, reliable, and engaging. The web has incredible reach and offers powerful ways for users to discover new experiences. But users are also used to searching for applications in their operating system store. These users are in many cases already familiar with the brand or the service they are seeking and have a high level intentionally that results are higher than average engagement metrics. I know it might sound a little overwhelming, but to understand it in simpler words, progressive web app or PWA is nothing but a web application. Since it is a web application, it runs on a website. Since it is a web application, it can run on any device, which is your desktop, your server, your mobile, your tablet, your iPhone, your MacBook. It can run everywhere independent of the operating system or platform. Then the another feature of PWA is that you do not need to install a particular app. For example, you do not order food much online from Swiggy or Zomato. So what you can do, you just open your laptop or mobile Chrome and just visit the site, and you can just order once. But since you do not use it frequently, you do not have to install the app. It can be a heavy app for like 100 MBs or 200 MBs, so you do not particularly need to install that particular app. You can just visit the progressive web app website and just easily order whatever you want. You can get the features as simple and as working as they are on the web or on the application. Then there is another segment named Google's Solution Challenge. Since I failed to introduce this in the previous session, I would like to take few minutes and introduce Google Solution Challenge. As many of you might be aware of Google's solution challenge. For those who are not aware what it exactly is, it is a solution challenge by Google like hackathon, where all developer student clubs DSCs will be participating from all over the globe. As I said earlier, it is nothing but a hackathon. A hackathon where Google will showcase multiple problem statements, and from those problem statements you can choose any problem statement and create or design your own solution for that challenge. The challenge the hackathon, the problem statements are very challenging, which is why the name is solution challenge, as simple as that. So many of you might be wondering, why should we focus on it? There are winning prizes for top 10 teams all across the globe. All across the world, there are top 10 teams that will be selected. All those 10 teams will get a chance, a free, fully paid trip to Sunnyvale in California to demonstrate their solutions to the Googlers. Googlers is nothing but a set of people who work at Google, then be featured on Google's channels, social media handles, and their blogs and etc. Then a certificate from developer student clubs noting your contributions and achievements. So these are the prices. These are the reasons why you should be working hard. You are working hard on your way towards solution challenge by Google. Upcoming solution challenge will be in summer 2021. It is held every year in summer, and the purpose of developer student clubs is to create a, a group of people, a club of people where many of them can interact with one another and think and describe and discuss how they can provide a solution to any challenge on this solution challenge. Now, why am I emphasizing on this part so much? Why? Because many of the apps, many of the solutions that get selected in the solution challenge are most of the time Android apps. You can use these skills that you learn in this solution, in this study jam. You can use these skills to develop a solution. Many of you might not be aware. Last year, a developer student club from Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar National Institute of Technology, they won this challenge, and they were in top 10, and these people got chance to visit California, fully prepaid trip. And their contribution, their solution was pretty simple. The solution was what a student needs in his university life, in his college life. He needs a particular set of notes, he needs question papers, he needs ordering system for college, means everything that you may need for college. All of those were created under a single app. Since that we are almost complete with our session, I would like to uh, move further on to the second unit. Just a moment, guys. So the second unit of the first the second unit of first track, that is new to programming. There are another two units. The first one is get user input in an app, and the another one is display a scrollable list. The purpose of two these are: first one, if you are creating a dynamic app, if you are creating an interactive app, you need to get input from the user. Correct? To create the interactivity, we will be using an input type, input session for a user. In the next pathway, we will be creating a scrollable list. Obviously, where there are many applications. The best example would be your contacts list. In your app, in your cell phone, there is a contacts list name app. In that app, there are like hundreds of mobile numbers or contact numbers saved in your mobile. So you cannot see all 100 of these at a single glance. You can just you can just simply scroll and use the features of scrolling to see all the saved contacts. Proceeding further with the second unit. In these activities, you can find there are videos for you to understand the basics of Kotlin, for you to get introduced to the features and functionalities. Then there is another videos for tip calculator in app introduction. Then after watching those videos, you can just proceed further with the classes and inheritance in Kotlin. Classes, objects, inheritance, polymorphism. These are nothing but the features of object-oriented programming languages. Then here is a class hierarchy. Many of you are belonging from IT or computer. You might be aware of what is hierarchy, what is parent or child classes, what is inheritance. But for those who do not know what inheritance is nothing but, just like normal human life, parents have estate, parents have money, and whenever they pass, their children inherit their all this estate, all this money. Similarly, here in coding, in this coding concept, there are parent classes and child classes. All those properties, all those instructions, all those codes from vegetable, which is parent class, will be applied and inherited by the child or subclass, that is legume. There can be multiple levels of hierarchy: grandparents, parents, then children's. Similarly, there are multiple types of inheritance, like single level, multi-level, multiple, hierarchical, hybrid. Similarly, then here is how to inherit the information. Here, view is nothing but a screen that is visible on your mobile. Then within that view there is a text view, right? On the screen of your mobile there is a bracket, or there is a box named text view, and under that text view there could be two options. The first one is to create the text or edit the text, and another one is button to submit the text, right? In Kotlin, this is how the hierarchy. This is how the hierarchy of implements. Sorry, the widgets are implemented. In Kotlin Any, there comes Android view. Under Android view, there comes widget text view. Under that text view comes widget button. We can create the hybrid or another uh, hierarchical inheritances as well. Here are just theoretical and explanation of how to create the program proper coding for inheritance. You can just go through all of this to understand better how to create a function where you are using inheritance. Now that we have created class, we are creating a subclasses as well to inherit those properties, right? As you can see, the source code would be, first of all, we are using the abstract class. Abstract class is nothing but a parent class, and that parent class name is dwelling, and that dwelling is being inherited by the square cabin, which is residence, correct? Here is the source code in Kotlin programming language, how you can complete the code for creating inheritance in Kotlin. As you can see, there is a main function. In that main function, there is this square cabin class, and for that square cabin class we are creating a object. That object is square cabin. Then under that square cabin, the square cabin is inheriting the properties of dwellings. And what is dwelling is a parent class. Parent class is nothing but abstract class. A dwelling can have multiple child classes, right? If the dwelling is parent class, then it can have square cabin or round hut or another child classes as well. Child classes are called nothing but subclasses, and parent classes are nothing but root classes. So don't get confused if I say root classes or parent or super class. In order to completely understanding this working, you have to perform this task. You have to write the code by yourself on your IDE of Android Studio, so that you can easily understand what and how is everything done, why it is done, correct? You can find the source code, you can find the instructions on how to do. You can find the sample outputs, if to check whether your output is correct or not, correct? Now proceeding further, this is the the whole, this is the complete solution. As you can see, there are comments as well. The comments are nothing but a set of text instructions just for developers to understand why and what are we using. After we complete the solution code, we can just summarize what we have understood in this activity. And after that, we can find more and more learning resources to deeply understand these concepts, which are inheritance, classes, constructors, abstract, open, override, private, or with word. Similarly, there are this, as I said earlier, there are minimum 4 activities. But here in this unit, in this pathway, there are almost 8 activities and the quiz. So you need to, in order to earn that badge, you need to complete all 8 of these activities and then pass this quiz. To pass this quiz, you have to earn at least, out of 10, you have to at least pass 7 questions, as you can see. But in case if you get any, but in case if you get any questions wrong, you can always just go back and you can always reattempt the quiz. There are no limited amount of times that you can attempt the quiz. But if you fail, I would highly recommend that you go back and check the resources in order to understand what mistakes are you making. Here, you can just click on here, return to pathway, and find all the resources again to for better understanding. Now that we have completed the first pathway from second unit, we can proceed further to the second pathway of second unit of first track. I know it may sound a little overwhelming, but just hang in there. See, as you can see here, the demo application is nothing but a multiple images, multiple text views, one beneath another. But for you to see all of them, your screen may not be wide enough or long enough to fit all the information. That is when you can use this feature of scrolling. As you can see on my screen, I'm using the feature of scrolling. We can use the mouse to scroll, or on our cell phone we use the touch screen to scroll. Correct. So we will be understanding how to create these scrollable views, scrollable lists. First of all, in order to create a scrollable view, we need to understand how to create a list. A list is nothing but a list of information. As you can see, I have just used here in the instructions, we have just used a keyword named list of, and then just provided the list of elements to store under that list variable. Sorry, valuable numbers value. Then you can find how to create a list. In that list you can have 1 2 3 4 5 6, but always the first variable, the first element is referred as 0 always, and 0 1 2 3 4 5. But if the index is 5, the number of elements is always 6. You can find the source code on how to create the app. I believe this is much more readable now. If you run this code, how what kind of output you may get. So as you can see, you can find all sorts of instructions along with the outputs, expected outputs, to understand the concepts. Even in case if you fail to generate the output, you can understand here from the theory. As you can see, in case if you write, if there are any if there are any syntactical error or logical errors, these kind of errors might generate on your screen. Unresolved reference add, unresolved reference, no set method providing array access. So you can just Google these errors on Stack Overflow and find the outputs or find the corrections as soon as possible, immediately within a second. And you do not have to worry about remembering all the possible list operations, because every time, since I have said that this is a Android Studio is nothing but an IDE to program in Kotlin, so it knows what kind of a code it should be expecting. So if you just type list dot, it will give you all possible functions that you can perform on that list. Then introduction to mutable lists. Are you aware what is mutable and immutable lists? Don't worry, it is not relevant to muting your audio. Mutable and immutable means whether you can change the list after creating. In Java, if you create a string, it is always by default immutable. Immutable means you can never change it. If it is mutable, it means you can delete or update or upgrade or make changes to the existing list. So that is the difference between mutable and immutable. In order to have more and more functionalities, you need to have mutable list. If you want to just declare set of instructions or set of list, you can which will never be changing, you can use the immutable list. Then we can use also looping functions. There are around 3 to 4 looping functions. The first one is while, then there is do while, then there is for each. These kind of loops can be used to perform a set of instructions n number of times. The these this syntax is called loop. So within each and every loop there is one thing common. That common thing is there is a condition. Until and unless that condition is satisfied, the set of instructions defined within that block will keep executing again and again until that condition is satisfied. The In case, for example, you need to print data of 100 students, correct? So the data could be name, number, address, email ID, phone number. So these five instructions you may have to write the information of 100 students. You cannot just keep repeating the same instructions again and again. So you can just use the loop. If you set here loop student 1 until 100, so here the instructions will be repeated 100 times, as easy as that. Then there is for loop, then do while. There are many options for you to create a loop. Now all that we have understood up until now, we can just put it all together, right? Because at the end of the day we need a single app that user will be using. So first of all, we created a class item. Under that item, we have created two variables. One is name and another one is price. Then we have created two different classes. One is noodles and another one is vegetables. What is the one thing that is common? Both this and this are being implemented by are being inherited by item has been inherited by both of these. So every time if you access for the println noodles, it will print the name and value respectively, as you can see here, noodles and vegetables. But since you may notice that numbers are 10 and 5, yet what you can see here is 54, 51, C3A8, 76, ED 5528. Why is that? Because it is a garbage value. In order to properly return the information, we need to convert this information into string first and then return name, return price, correct? You can understand, you can go through all this study material as many times as you want for as long as you want. There are no time constraints. Once again, I know it might be getting a little boring. Then there is there is another activity of improving your code. Now that we have already completed a code, it is still a little unclean or messy code. So you can use the best practices or pattern for orders, correct? We can use different functions for different features. Add item, add all, add functions, correct? See, this is much more readable code because after each every class, after each function, you can understand what is the basic instructions that are being completed in this function. To string override, to string means we are converting the information into the string and then renaming, sorry, then returning the name. When you complete here, your progress bar will be increased, but keep in your mind that sometimes since it is a beta program, there are few bugs or errors. You may get logged out unexpectedly, so you need to keep checking if you are already signed in or not. I haven't signed in on purpose, but you need to sign in every time. Then take the quiz, perform as many times as you want. If you get it wrong, see, out of 7, at least 5 questions should be correct, right? Because then you will understand what are the issues, what could be the task. Now that you have completed the whole first, just a moment. Now that we have completed both units of first track, now we can say that we have already completed first track. You have time until next Saturday, that is 12th December. You have to complete all 6 of these pathways before 12th September, sorry, before 12th December. After that, on 12th December, we are proceeding further with the second track, which is with prior programming experience on Kotlin. And in that session, we are going through Kotlin Koans. Hmm. Uh, Up until now, many of you might have already completed or yet to complete. Uh, I would recommend please do complete this whole course before until next Saturday. These are total 6 pathways that you have to complete in order to attain next session. Then in the next session, we will be focusing on Kotlin Koans. See, this is Kotlin Koan. We'll be understanding the basic features, properties, builders, and generics of Kotlin. And the co-host for next session would be Shreyas Patil. He is currently studying in the 4th year of DYPCOE IT and currently working as software developer engineer at Scalereal. So it is really mostly awaited session. I would highly recommend please attend this session. It is worthwhile. Yeah. Now that we are done with our session, we are proceeding. There are 15 minutes left. We are proceeding further with the Q&A session. If any of you have any doubts or questions, please do ask. My friend Akash Srivastav have already shared the link for the previous sessions recording. Please go through that in the chat section. You can find that. Someone has asked the question after installing Android Studio. When I click on create a new project, they are showing SDK is missing. What is that? Uh, Whoever asked that question, the error is if in case there might be issue with setting up the SDK. SDK has been installed, but you just need to direct the path. You can just Google how to direct the path. You will find instructions on how to set up the SDK in Android Studio. You will find a in the menu bar you will find a tool named SDK Manager, and go through that. You will open a file explorer browser. Through that, select the SDK folder where you have installed the SDK. Then Akash has also shared this link for how to code clean by Shreyas Patil. It is really amazing session. I would highly recommend for you all to watch that session and understand what are the best practices for coding. Then also go through how to apply, how to register for DSC solution challenges. In the solution challenge you can find the on that official site you can find previous years winners, their projects, what the concepts were, how they created the source code and everything. So you can get a basic pretty idea about how to participate, register for the event. And this event is highly anticipated in all over the DSC, developer student community clubs. Okay, with that being said, I do not think there are any more further questions. If any of you have, please proceed. Okay, Akash.
Yes, Kamlesh.
Hi, is there anything else that I'm forgetting or missing
No,
out?
no, I guess you covered each and every point which needs to be mentioned in the session.
Okay, thanks. Then I believe we can conclude the session and finish.
Yes, you can conclude.
Okay, guys, thanks each and every one of you for participating. It was great session. I had fun. I hope you had fun as well. Bye bye. See you until the next time, which is on 12th December on at 3 p.m. Before we end, just a moment. Uh, you all can use the Android's hashtag Android Study Jams and hashtag DSC DYPCOE. Great job, everyone, on your progress. You can post the photos or highlights from today's session on social media using hashtag Android Study Jams, hashtag DSC DYPCOE without underscore. And we encourage you to share a screenshot of your birthday card app. Stay tuned for the third session. The third session will be conducted on 12th December along with our co-host, who is Mr. Shreyas Patil, who does not need an introduction as of now. He is very popular in our community. His name is Shreyas Patil. He is currently working as software development engineer at Scale Real. So stay tuned and anticipate until the next session. Thank you, each and every one of you. If you haven't already registered, I'm providing the links to register for the session and getting started for the session. Just a moment. In the chat box, I have mentioned the link. On this link, you can visit. You can find the where to start the sessions, and here is another link for completing the session. For registering the session. Sorry. Register on this link and you will be redirected to join our WhatsApp group where you will find all necessary and further instructions. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being patient enough and joining this session. It was fun. Okay, then Akash, we can conclude.